Hi there, it's Sam from poodles.co.uk. Thank you very much for joining me today. Today I've got an unusual project. I have decided to fly blind today and make a card that I have not prepped, I have not sampled, I have not done at all. And that is because I wanted to... I'm a bit addicted to watercolouring at the moment. Yeah, okay, I'm probably late to the party, but I am so addicted to it. And as you know, I'm a simple crafter. I don't do complicated. I don't have brain space for complicated. So I just wanted, because I have fallen in love with it and it is remarkably easy, I wanted to kind of go live as such with it. I mean, obviously not that the video is coming out to you live, but, you know, in my usual unedited style. So I've grabbed a stamp set I want to use. I don't want to get into embossing and what have you. That's not what the video is about. So I've pulled out my triple banner punch because I'm just going to, you know, put a banner across. And I did have out, but I've put away my glitter tape. I'm not sure which one I'm going to use yet, whether it's the silver or that. But otherwise, kind of, I'm just going to fly blind. I've got picked out 3 colours, and let's go for it. So, okay, so I'm starting with, I can't remember what colour this is. It's Tip Top Taupe. Oh, I've lost the plot. Tip Top cardstock. So I'm going to cut it in half and score it in half. Doesn't matter what measurements you work in, just cut your piece of cardstock in half and score it in half, which is what I'm doing. So that's my card blank. And again, I know what my measurements are. I'm going to make my layer that's going to go inside it. So that's a card blank, my mat rather. I'm going to make it 1.5 centimetres shorter and narrower. So again, I know what that is. It's irrelevant what the measurement is. Go with 1.5 centimetres or go with maybe 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch, something like that. And you end up with a mat like that. So it's got a bit of a border, a bigger border of the Tip Top Taupe. And I forgot what my measurement was, so... okay. So I'm now, this time I have got some shimmer white cardstock. And I have got some watercolour paper ordered at last. What's the measurement of that one? So yeah, I have now got some watercolour paper ordered. It just hasn't arrived yet. So I'm going with the shimmer white, which is lovely and it doesn't pill, but it also, you have got room to move it. So I've set my mats and layers. So piece of cardstock cut in half, scored in half, 1.5 centimetres shorter and narrower, or about 3/4 inch, and then this one is only 1/2 centimetre shorter and narrower, so I get this just a tiny bit of black border. Okay, let's have some fun now. So I've got my 3 tones of blue ink. I've got Night of Navy as my darkest, Marina Mist and Soft Sky. There are lots of different blues. You could go with sort of a sharper blue, you know, maybe pull out, let me just grab these. These ones would give you a sharper kind of blue, a bit more of a sea blue, whereas this is more of a sky blue. It makes sense in my head. So what you do is you squish your ink pad with your thumb and fingers because you want the ink pad to touch the lid, and you just turn it round and make it into like a watercolour palette. And there we go. So, oh, I did have some tissues. They've got, I'll have to use wet wipes. I did have some tissues, but then Jacob decided he was going to do some watercolouring last night and used... I walked back into my office and my desk was covered in tissues, but anyway, I've got wet wipes on the floor. So, my aqua painter, really easy. You unscrew the barrel and you fill it with water. That literally all it is. It is all it is. It's just water. Yeah, I probably needed to refill this too. He's used up half a barrel. And you just squeeze, and hopefully you'll see this onto my hand. The water will come down and drip down your brush, and depending on how wet you want it as to how much you do really, you know, how wet you go, you make it so you can dry it off a little bit, but I want it quite wet for this Night of Navy that I'm going to go with first. So I'm just squishing a palette. If I move those so the light is on, I'm literally just going to brush colour. That's all I'm doing. Brushing colour. Easy peasy. So I'm going to clean that off. There we go. And pick up the Marina Mist, because that's the next colour in, and sort of go over the top and bring it down. Get a bit more. Because there's nothing scientific about it at all. I really don't do scientific. It's not my bag. I do numbers, but I don't do sciencey, complicated stuff. And the soft sky in, and I don't know how well it's showing up. It's quite a sunny day actually, but it is, the colour is all coming down. And there we go. So it's just a bit more of the Night of Navy. And move it around, and I want to get some more water in here. There we go. More of that. It's so it's playing. I love it. I love it, and lots of fun. So that I'm going to set over here to dry. It's probably not going to dry by the time I come to put the card together, but you know, we'll hope it will. Close up the, actually I'm going to hang on to this one, the Night of Navy, but I want to put these ones out of the way before I stick an elbow, finger, or probably my face in one, which no, my luck would happen. I've got this little bit of the shimmer white paper, so I'm going to hang on to it, because I'm going to stamp onto this one. And I've got the Another Thank You stamp set, which I love. I think it's such a beautiful stamp set. I want to work with this one down here, which when I pull it out, I'm going to measure it on my grid paper. Actually, it's going to fall off the camera so I'm not going to see it. So let me bring out my ruler. So I know that the highest point, so if I was to put it on there, that point from there to there is no more than an inch. So I want my strip with my triple banner punch to be an inch wide. And how long do I want it? Again, I'm laying it over my ruler. I want it quite long, so I'm going to, it needs to be an absolute minimum of 2 inches, but I wouldn't get the flag tail in, so I'm going to make it 3 inches. So I want my first piece of paper to be 1 by 3. So I'm going to grab my trimmer, or 2.5 by 7.5 centimetres. So by 3 inches, 7.5 centimetres. But I quite fancy having something in the background of it. So I want to have black, because that is the black layer that's going on. So I'm going to make this one just 1/2 inch bigger. So I'm going to make it 1.5 by 3.5. Am I still going to get, I am going to get that out of that. So this is a bit of the scrap from where I cut my black layer. So 1.5 by 3.5, and you could make that maybe, what would that be? 3.8 by 8.9 centimetres. You can make it 9 centimetres. Okay. So, is that going to look right? I don't know that it is, but that's what fits inside your flag banner. See, I am really flying blind. I don't like that. No, I'm not going to do it like that. What did I make this? So that was 1 inch by 3.5, and I want to make it just, yeah, I want to make it only 0.5 centimetre. I just want it to a narrow bit bigger. A narrow bit bigger? That didn't make any sense. A tiny bit longer. So that's better. That's a better border there. So I need to trim off some more at the end. So I'm going to trim this down to this length, and that should border in the same way that my layers will. That's better, isn't it? I think we like that. So I'm going to stamp now. This is fortunately photopolymer, so I can see what I'm doing. That's always really useful, isn't it? When you can see what you're doing. And I'm going to come off to one side, because obviously I need to do the banner flag part of it. And that's this one. Now a 1 inch or a 2.5 centimetre piece will fit in this bottom, in the smallest groove, and you just push it in as far as you can go, and you can see it's coming up there, and punch. Now this one is obviously, it's too wide for the smallest but too narrow for the biggest, so you kind of have to hover it in, hold it with your finger, fold it over and check that you're central, which I am, and that should give me a perfect flag and border. Oh, perfect. I'm glad I trimmed that down. It wouldn't have looked right. Okay, so let's get some snail on here. Just dropped it. There we go, don't stick it to the desk. So some snail on there. And then the glitter tape is gorgeous, and I quite fancy, if I bring this back in, it's drying out nicely. I'm thinking that the silver might go better rather than the Whisper White. Okay, so it's pretty sticky, but it's not like washy sticky. But it's you can fiddle around and peel it about and what have you. So I'm going to create my own flagtail with this, because obviously I don't want to stick it inside a punch, because that just wouldn't work. So, and where shall I put it? Over that bit? Yeah, over the lower part, I think. Trim off this excess, but you can wrap it round, but I want to trim it off. That's quite good. And then I'm going to lift this with some dimensionals. This really is flying blind. I don't ever video like this. Oh well, you're getting to see a different side of me. And on there, I think. Now, because this has had water on it, you can see it's sort of rippled and buckled. Definitely snail it direct to a layer or a mat of some kind, because you don't want it to buckle when it's on your card, because that's just never a pretty look. So that's my black piece that was just 1/2 centimetre shorter and narrower. And I'm laying it down, and I'm just going to go over with my bone folder just to make it sure it's perfectly flat. And that's just flattened it now, as you can see. So that's ideal. Dimensionals on here. Can't get the backing off there. And that is my easy peasy watercolouring. How simple was that? I love it. I love it. You can make guy cards really easy. Manly cards are hard to make. It's very difficult because they are kind of hobbyist led stamp sets. So yeah, you could make some guy cards really easily. But anyway, thank you ever so much for joining me. It's Friday today. Have a wonderful weekend, whatever you're doing. I hope it's something very crafty. And yeah, I'll speak to you really soon. Bye.